because I do want to deal with the real world, and I do want to have a voice in the threatened state of our planet, and can we do something? I guess my passion has always been very much about caring for and the natural world, you know. So I guess I married my art into it in a way. So and it's become more and more embedded into it, you know. Whereas it started off a little bit more abstracted, like it was much more to do with alchemy, but it was still dealing with matter. And but I think now it's like really about real places.
Tell me a bit more about the level of interaction
With
you
the
engage people with the plants. It's not cultural, it's
well, what I'm
biological.
trying to, yes, it is. It's so one time I had like an actor, but being a botanist, as though he arrived in the colony for the first time, and he's just going around tasting these things, and he's analysing it in terms of what are the botanical elements in it that give it a certain taste.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can look at all the ones that have that citrus flavour in the native,
Yeah.
and then trying to understand is what's the molecular being of those plants. So I do make that distinction, that I'm not saying one's cultural, because of course the indigenous peoples have been using all of these plants, and they have symbolic significance to them, and I don't ignore that. But in my way of using it, it's about the botanical being, I say, of the plant.
Was there a turning point?
No, it was quite gradual, I think. I got invited to Mexico, to the Chiapas, to the Amazon, to work with a group of, there was a whole group of people in the arts, you know, from poets to writers to artists. And we were all invited to make projects about this big threat to the Amazon. And it was just an amazing thing that this was happening there. And then I came back here and I went to the Styx Forest here, and I started to work with that and so on. It's led to so many places now to look at. And so when I was invited into this show in Paris, I was invited by the French. I'm not being sent by the Australian government, by the way, of course. The Australian government doesn't want to know that I'm going, you know what I mean, you can imagine. First of all, I just said I want to be in the Natural History Museum, because I want to make a work that you could engage with in a way about the Great Barrier Reef, and that's how it sort of came about. Yeah, so, and it just seemed like I wanted initially to make it like with the whole Barrier Reef was on an arc, you know, but then obviously that became quite difficult, and there were restrictions with working with this museum. It's a grand, amazing museum, the Evolution Gallery there in the Jardin des Plantes. It's so fabulous, and they have had a huge past of research with marine science. So it's I just felt it was the right place for it to be, and it'll look completely different, obviously, from one of their exhibits. And also I think it's quite accessible, very accessible, and even for kids, you know, and I think they have a lot of children come through there, and I think that's good.
I think that's terribly important. It's their future.
I know. And I've got some real films, a lot of great films about the Barrier Reef, but I'm taking away the kind of, you know, that tourist aspect of those films. I'm altering the films so, you know, you can focus on actual images of the reef in juxtaposition to this. I've got to do all that yet. That's a bit freaky.